and we also saw the limitations that we have while converting from numericals to strings. Okay, and and yeah, so after looking into the operator, so yesterday we have seen the how do we make a decision, how do we achieve a decision making in Python, how can we use if else, else if, and nested if else. So and what are the limitations, and how can you use them effectively. And post which we have also seen how what are the looping structures or the iterations that we have, and what is the difference between for and while. And we have also seen while combined with else. And yeah, lastly, we also saw control statements, like how can we control this looping structures other than the base condition. Okay, and today we'll be like deep diving into every kind of data type. Okay, so we'll see what and all the built-in functions that we have that Python provides to us in every data type. Yep. Yeah. So first, we'll start with the basic data type, which is a numerical data type. So before that, I just wanted to like introduce you one keyword, which is a delete keyword. It can not only be used on only the numerical, so it is like everywhere. So when you have created one variable, okay, so I told you, so it will uh, be stored in the memory. That means it reserves some memory in the main memory. But if you don't use that variable, but what is the use of the variable inside the memory? So it is just occupying the memory, but it is not being used in our memory. So in that case, how can we free up the space? So Python already has a garbage collector, so which does that, but it is a scheduled garbage collector. That means whatever the variables that are there in the memory, which are not being retrieved in a very recent manner, it has some logic garbage collector, so it is very easy to use the programming language. Okay, so if that particular memory space is not being retrieved or not being queried for some time, so garbage collector will clean up all that memory space. But before that, if we know as a developer that we created an object or we created a variable, but that is not being used after some time, so then what we can do is we can simply delete that variable. So deleting that variable means so it will completely uh, reverse the entire process that we saw when we are declaring the variable, right? So variable declaration is first it will go to the memory, it will fix some memory and create a reference to that memory and store the reference into the reference memory. But yeah, so this delete keyword, what it does is it does the entire thing in a reverse manner and it clean up the memory. Okay, so I'll just give one example. So before a for loop, in the while loop, okay, we saw we need to create a counter. That means we need to initialize some counter. But after going through the while loop, and after the while loop we don't even use that counter because that counter is only for going the incrementing or decrementing the loop. That's it, that is the only purpose of it. But outside the while loop it is not even required. So what we can do is before the garbage collector takes the tab, we can simply delete that variable. Okay, we can simply take the task to us. In that way we can like improvise our programming. Okay, so we don't like always leave that thing to the garbage collector or to the system just to clean up all this memory space. Okay, yeah, so this is one of the important keyword that in the programming language, whenever you are building an application you can use.
Masura,
Yeah.
one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So for the regarding the garbage collector, we need
Mm-hmm.
to schedule the job or it's already goes automatically.
Garbage collector, it has a few variations, so it is up to us. So let us say in our application, it depends upon mostly our application and the theme. So what kind of garbage collector that we want to use. So there are multiple types of garbage collector. One is like we don't need to schedule that one thing. We just need to give a command in our config files in our application. So based upon the time it will take, it will automatically be picked up by that command. Let's say if we give like the recent one, if we give the old one, so you can remove the recent data from the main memory, or if you choose for the older data, and if you choose the recent query data, that means let's say we have declared a variable in the beginning of the application. Okay, so that is the old variable that we have declared, so that is a very old variable that is sitting in the memory. But recently we have created another variable, but the older variable which we don't use, maybe, oh, this is a case, this is very specific to the application. So if you don't use the older variables or the older objects that you create, then you can simply go for this older cleanup option. Okay, but yeah, so whenever whatever you create older things, but yeah, recent ones don't really use. In that case, what you can do is you can go for the recent option. Okay, you can like simply tell the JVM, not the JVM, this Python virtual machine that just simply delete the recent objects that are created. But yeah, so we can go by the this cache, just like how the cache works. Okay, so let's say there is a older variable. Let us go by objects. There is an older object which is created, and there is a new object. Okay, and if we were to choose which one to be like freed up, this what if we give the option, okay, last recently used LRU cache. So that is one of the technique which most of the GVMs or most of the virtual machines or most of the garbage collectors, it is even used for the cache cleaning as well. Okay, LRU means last recently used. That means even though it is old created object or it is newly created object, so we'll only keep last recent used objects. That's it. And whichever is not being used, so we'll just simply delete them. Okay, so this LRU cache is a recent technique that is like applied to even in our mobile phones, even in our systems, in the servers, everywhere we use that. And there are like few advanced cache mechanisms to clean up them. Yeah, so there are like options. We don't need to schedule them manually. We just need to give the options to the compiler. So compiler will automatically take care about this garbage collection. We don't need to worry about that. We just need to think about, so what kind of garbage collector is very much useful for our application.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, so we don't really always rely on the garbage collector. So if we know that this object is not being used after such certain point of time, we can simply delete that particular object. So for that we can simply use the delete keyword, and delete keyword, just after the delete keyword, whatever the variable or the object that you want to delete, we can simply delete that. And after we perform this delete operation on any of the keyword or any of the variable or object, so that means that particular object is completely wiped off from the memory. So if you like try to like access the data inside that variable even after deleting that, so it will throw an error. So we'll see with an example. Okay, now let me create a variable. Now let me just print it. Okay, now we know how the memory, all this allocation works. I don't want to explain that. Okay, now we are running this. Yeah, so now the 100 got printed. Now let us go to the variable workspace. See, here we have a var which is type of int. That means there is a variable, this is a reference. So for this reference we have some memory allocated. Now what I will do, I'll simply delete this, delete var. And after deleting it, okay, let us simply first do this. I'll just delete it. So but as soon as I delete it, so there is no reference for this variable. That means this variable itself is wiped off from the memory. But if you try to access that after deleting this, so you will get an error. That's it, because we don't have a reference in the memory, right? Yeah, simply we have got name error. That means this particular variable is not being initialized or defined. Okay, so this is a very simple thing. We just need to delete. And yeah, it is up to the developers or the programmers whether you want to use the delete operator keyword or not. Okay, if you don't use it, yeah, you need to like specifically think about which kind of garbage collector is very useful for your application. Okay, yeah.
So, it will deleted entirely, right? And means it's cache memory and main memory.
Yeah, it will delete entirely. So we don't even have any reference for this variable at all. Okay, yeah. So that is the delete function. Now, yeah, coming to the numerical. So before jumping into the built-in functions, so we know there are like multiple number systems. Like in our programming language itself, we have octal number system, we have hexadecimal system, we have binary system. But if we were to convert our integer into any of this type, so how can we do that? So we do have some built-in functions to do that. So for converting an integer into an octal number, so we can simply use oct function. Okay, to this oct function, we just need to pass our integer. And for a hexadecimal, we just need to call this hex function, to which we need to pass our integer. And to convert a number into binary, we just need to pass, we just need to call this binary function with our integer. Okay, and we'll see how the output is printed for all these three types. 1 second. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, yeah, so these are like three functions which we can use in order to convert an integer into any of the system, octal system or hexadecimal system or binary system. And we'll see how the output is printed, because yeah, first let me show how the output is. Now we have an integer where, let me just convert that into an octal system. We just need to call our oct function, and to this function we just need to pass our integer. Now let me just let me just print it. Oh, sorry, we have this delete, right? Yeah, see, in octal it got printed first 0 and then O, and then this is 144. That is a very specific number in the octal system for 100. Now what are these 0 and O? So these are the representation. So if it just printed 144, we don't even know whether it is an integer or whether it is in the octal system, whether it is a string, or we don't know. We don't really know whether it is really in the octal system or not. So to explicitly tell that, so Python introduces this kind of format for this. So whatever start with 0, that means that is not an integer. First of all, that is not an integer, and it can be a string. Okay, first of all, if whatever it is starting with 0, that is not an integer. Just followed by 0, if we have a O, that means it is in the octal format. Okay, so whatever the number that we are seeing, that is in the octal format. And the similar manner, see, for hexadecimal, so it just printed 0x64. So 64 is the hexadecimal equivalent for 100. But what are these 0 and x? So this is just a representation of the hexadecimal system in programmatical language. Okay, so whatever of everything starting with 0, that is not an integer. So that is a number system. Okay, so what kind of number system? We just simply know what is the character just after this 0. So if it is O, that means that is in the octal system. If it is X, that is in the hexadecimal system. And similarly for the binary. So if the B is followed by a 0, that means that is in the binary format. Okay, 0B, and this is the real binary representation of 100. That's it. So this is the real value for 100 in the hexadecimal, and this 144 is the real value in the octal system. Okay, so this is just simply for the users to show them this is really in the octal system or hexadecimal system or in the binary system. So whenever you want to handle them, you just need to create a substring out of them. So these are the strings, by the way. So these are the strings. So first you need to convert them. You need to truncate this string, first two characters, and you can simply use the rest or remaining. That's it. Okay. Yeah.
Can you
so this is
can you
see, whenever you convert any integer into octal system, so it will simply give us 0 O, but here in this case it is 144. So okay, if you really want to show this to the user whether it is in the octal system or not, so this is only for the representation purpose. But in the calculation we can't simply use this, right? 0 O 144, it doesn't even make any sense for our calculation. It is simply a representation for the users to know in which system this number is in. Okay, so if we were to use this number in our calculation, so we just need to remove first two characters. These two characters we just need to remove 0 and O. Now this 144 is something which is in the octal system. Okay, and that is what I just wanted to mention. First, we just need to retrieve these two parameters, and then we can use the rest. Okay.
Okay, got it.
So these are the three built-in functions to convert integer system into any other system, octal system or hexa system or binary system. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, other than that, I'll just dive into the real functions. Okay. Now, the very first function. If we were to find an absolute value, excuse me, if we were to really find an absolute value, what is an absolute value? Okay, absolute value is always a positive value. So even if it is a negative value or a positive value, so it will convert that into positive value. That's it. We know that absolute value. It is in the mathematics, it is represented as mod of some value is equal to always a positive value. So if you want to find a positive value for any number, you can simply use this function, absolute function. So for that, the representation of this is abs function. Okay, so this is the abs function. So to this function, we just need to pass our integer or any decimal value as a function, sorry, as a parameter. Okay. Now what I will do, I'll just print. I'm calling this abs function on minus 100. Okay. Now let us see what is printed. See, the absolute value for minus 100 is 100 because absolute is always a positive value. And in a similar manner, so if I pass a positive number for this function, that is also positive because this absolute value converts it, either it is a positive integer or a negative integer, it will always convert it into positive value. That's it. So that is the purpose of this absolute value. Okay. And yeah, so once we have this absolute value, next we have this max and min functions. So this max and min functions, they are not really specifically for the numericals. So these functions you can use for any of the data type. Okay, it can be used for strings, it can be used for lists, it can be used for tuples. Okay, so this max and min functions are the variable argument functions. Okay, so we'll see what really variable argument function is whenever we go to the functions topic. Yeah, so to this min function and max function, let me just put it first here. So if we were to find, let's say we have 10 integers or 2 or 3 integers, okay, or decimals, anything is fine. So if you want to find what is the maximum value out of these 3 values or 4 values or 5 values, so at that time what we can use is we can use the max function. Okay, it is simply like that, max function. Uh, So out of all the input parameters that we pass, so it will just return the maximum value from all the list. It is not really a list. I'm just calling it as a list of parameters that we pass. Let us see. I'm calling this max function. So to this max function, let me pass a 5 integers: 12, 45, 23, 67, and 1. Okay, so out of this we know 67 is the maximum value. Now let us see what is printed but when I call this max function with all this parameters. So it just returned 67. So it is making our lives easy. Okay, if we want to like find maximum value of 2 or 3 values in a very frequent manner, we can simply use this max function. Okay, so to which we can pass any number of arguments. Here I have passed 5 arguments. Now in the similar manner, let me pass only 2 values. I can do that. I can pass any number of arguments to this. That is why this max function is a variable length argument function. That means there is no limit on the how many number of parameters that you pass to this function. You can pass any number of parameters and you can pass any type of parameter to this. Okay, it is not only the integers. So here we are dealing with only the numericals. That is why I just use the numerical parameters. In the strings also we use the same function. So at that time we'll just pass the strings. Okay, yeah. So here I am passing two parameters as input, 12 and 45, sort of which 45 is the maximum value. And just like this, similarly we have the min function. Okay, so this returns the minimum value. So this is also very much similar to the max function. The very functional method signature or everything is just like the same as max function, just that max function returned a maximum value and the minimum function returns a minimum value. That's it. So that is the only difference between max function and the min function. So we'll see some examples for the min function as well. So just like the max function, so this is also a variable length argument function. So that means we can pass any number of input parameters and we can pass any type of data. Okay, so I'm passing some random numbers. Okay, so we know out of this one is the very minimum value. So yeah, the one will be printed for this. Okay, one is printed. Just to show another example, so here I will just pass only two values for this. Okay, 0 comma minus 21, out of which minus 21 is the minimum value. Okay, yeah, so that is the max function and the min function. So this is not very specific to the numericals. Okay, that's it. We'll see this function so many times in the strings, in the list, in the tuples, in the sets, everywhere. And in the operators, we have seen this exponent operator, right? So in the similar manner, so if you don't want to use the exponent operator, so that is very I won't say it is not a very efficient way to do that, but for the looking purpose or for it can be like confusing. So see, let's say it currently what I will do in my whenever I am building my application, what I will do is I just wanted to find 2 to the power of 3. So I have given this thing. Okay, so now the 2 to the power of 3 is something. Okay, 8. Now my application is running superly. Okay, fine. But in future, someone came into my code and without knowing, unknowingly, so they just removed one of the asterisk. Okay, now what it is, so this is not an exponential operator now. It won't even throw any error because this asterisk is a valid operator. Okay, so previously there were 2 asterisks, now this person is removing 1 asterisk, and even though there is 1 asterisk, so the application will not show this as an error because this is a valid operation between these 2 operands. So now my application will return 6 instead of 8. Previously it was returning 8, my application was superly working. Now because of some person removed one of the asterisk from the exponential operator, now it is 6. Okay, so now the application, my application failed. Now I don't know where the application got failed. So we don't really, this is not really a debugging place that every developer go and see. Okay, this is not an easily catchable error. Okay, so that is where this exponential operator sometimes is a very risky whenever we are doing frequent changes to our code base. Okay, at that time what we can simply use is we can simply use a power function. We have a power function available. It is simply like this. Let me put it in the text first. Okay, so this is our power function. So what power function does is, so it will calculate this exponential for us. So we just need to pass 2 arguments for this. Okay, 2 arguments. First one is the base value, and the second is the exponent. Okay, the first argument is the base and the second argument is the exponent. Now let us see how can we achieve 2 to the power of 3 here. So 2 is the base and 3 is the exponent. So first argument is 2 and second argument is 3. See now 8. So yeah, this is the only difference between these two. So this is error prone. Okay, so this is sometimes error prone and it is very difficult to debug such a kind of errors, because in the operators if there is any error it is very difficult to like handle or debug. Okay, so that is whenever we want to do such a kind of mathematical operation, so we create, if that is not already available in the built-in libraries, we create an additional util function and we use that function. Okay, But in Python, we don't really have to do that because we already have this power function. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So once we have this power function, and yes, so we have seen this absolute function, so which will convert the negative values if it is either negative or positive, so it will just simply give us a positive value for that. And we have also seen a max function, and we have also seen a min function, and this power function. Okay. And there is
So,
another. Yep.
Surya, so basically, two statements are technically correct, but
Hmm.
for debugging purpose, we will use a power, right?
It is not really for the debugging purpose, as I mentioned. So this is very error prone. So if someone is making any change here, let's say if I try to make change here, so unknowingly I made a change here. Okay, I removed one of the asterisks from this exponent operator. Okay, so now this will work. This will not throw any error during the runtime because this operator is also a valid operator. But during the execution, so we'll get a different value. So previously we were getting 8, now we'll get a 6. Okay, now it is very difficult for us to find out really what is happening. So this is very simple example I'm giving, but yeah, there can be very hard examples. So whenever you are dealing with the financial institution, so there everywhere you have the numbers. Okay, so they everywhere frequently use this multiplication, use this addition, subtraction, see everything. So they everything matters. So in such a kind, in such a scenario, so if there is something happening, if there is a mismatch, so we don't really go by these operators. It is a very human behavior. We first check the data whether the data is correct or not. So by the time we check this, okay, there is a mistake here, so instead of this exponent we have a multiplication happening here. That's it. So this is not really a bad way of doing this, but yeah, so for a better coding practices, people don't really use this such a kind of operators directly in the code. So they create some utility functions. Let's say multiplication. If you want to do a multiplication, so they will create a multiplication function in a separate class. So they will simply use this multiplication function by simply passing whatever you want to multiply, just like that. Okay, we don't really use such a kind of things. It is a better coding practice. That's it. Okay. Yeah. Now the next function I would like to talk about is the round function. Yeah. So just like I mentioned, so in the financial institution, so we always deal with the currencies, monies, numbers, etc., etc. So whenever we are trying to convert a value from one currency to another currency, that means there are some multiplications and divisions involved. So whenever we do some multiplications and divisions, so we already know the currencies and everything, money or currency, that is not really an integer. So we deal with the decimals over there. So whenever you do some multiplications or divisions, so these decimals will extend or shrink. But if you don't handle those decimals correctly, so there can be a loss. Let's say in Indian rupees, there is no much difference. But whenever you are converting in Indian rupees into dollars, so even though if there is a difference of one, okay, that means there is an effect of 70 rupees or 80 rupees really. Okay, so at that time, so we just really need to round off our decimals in a proper way. So for that, we also have one of the inbuilt function already available. So to which we can simply pass whatever the decimal that is there, and you can simply pass how many decimals that you want to round. Let us see an example. This really rounds the decimal. So if you give two places, that means this decimal will be rounded to two decimal places. Okay, that's it. Now let's say during the division I have got some value like this. Okay, this big value. Now I don't really want this many kind of decimals. I just want to make my application very generic. That means I only allow only till 5 decimals. That means I only give 5 places. Okay, five valid places that I just really want. And what it does is, it will simply round that value to 5 decimal places. That's it. See, now we have only 5 decimals. So this decimal occur like half even. That's it. rounding type that Python follows is the half even. That means, see, after 6, okay, if the value is greater than or equal to 5, that means it will convert 6 into 7. If the value is less than 5, that means it converts into, it will keep 6 as it is. Now just after 6, we have 3, which is less than 5. That means we have only 6 here. Now let me modify this 3 to 7. Okay, now I have 3, 4, 5 to 7. That's it. So this rounding type, we call it as half even rounding type. That's it. Okay. Yeah. So these are some functions. So wherein you don't really need to uh, import any library or import any module. So we can simply call these functions directly, because these are directly available in the standard library. But there are few more mathematical functions, okay, so which are coming as part of the math module. So we'll see those functions. There are very less only, but yeah, again we'll see. Let me take the text. Okay, so these are coming from the math library. Okay, so first I'll just tell you how to import any module. So just follow this. This is very simple, but whenever we deal with the modules, I'll clearly explain what is really happening whenever we give such kind of statement. Okay, so this is the statement whenever you want to import any module. So import is the keyword and whatever the module name that you want to import, that's it. Okay, now in my code base, what I will do, I'll simply import math module. Okay, now I have my math module imported. That means whatever the functions that are there inside the math, so they are coming as part of here, because these functions are not part of the standard library. That is why we had to explicitly import this particular library. The very first function is fabs function. So in the integers, so from the standard library, we have seen this abs function. Okay, so this abs function, what it does is, so it converts only integers. Okay, it converts only integer values into absolute values. So if you were to convert any decimals or any float values into absolute value, how can we do that? So with the help of this fabs function. Okay, and we can also use them to integers as well. Okay, and this can also be used for integers as well. I'll tell you what will happen if we use this function on integer. Okay, yeah. Let me have one variable which is minus 12.23. Let me have another variable 23.45. Let me have another variable which is minus 12. Okay, now if you could see, m1 is a float, m2 is a float, m3 is an integer. Now I will use this fabs function on all the these three. Okay, first I'll go one by one. Print fabs function, I'll just pass m1. Oh, sorry. So whenever you import any library, we just need to call this function with the help of that library name, math dot. We just need to go by math dot. Okay, yeah. See, now 12.23 is the absolute value for this minus 12.23. Now I can simply use the same function for this as well. Print math dot fabs of m2. See, so whether it is negative value or positive value, it will simply convert it into absolute value. Now what I will do for the integer, okay, now what I will do for m4 is equal to math dot fabs of m3. I'll print m4. Now if you could see, m3 is an integer, right? Okay, now when I use this fabs function on m3, let us see what is the output type. Now the output got printed as 12.0, which, what is the data type for this, for such a kind of data, which is float. If you could see here, m4 is a float. That means what we can conclude from here is it can take any type of numerical value, so it can take integers or decimals, okay, but always returns float value, okay. So even if you pass integer or float, it will always return a float value, so that we need to be very sure. So whenever we are calling this FAPS function with integers, so that time you should be sure that you expect an integer or a decimal value, okay. Yeah, because in Python we really don't explicitly define the data type, right? So it internally converts the data type without user intervention. So that is why we just need to be extra careful whenever we are dealing with such a kind of functions, wherein integer can easily be transferred into any other type of data. That means obviously the float type, okay. Yep. And just like after this FAPS, we have ceil and floor functions, okay. Ceil function and floor function. Let me first explain ceil function. Okay, ceil function and floor function. So these functions are specifically for the floats only, float data types, because so a float data type is something between two integers, right? Let's say this 12.23. Let us take 12.23. 12.23 is a decimal value between two integers, which are 12 and 13. So 12, in between 12 and 13 we have 12.23. And if you were to find what is the ceil value for 12.23, ceil in the sense the next integer. What is the next integer for this 12.23? 13. Okay, that is the ceil for this. And floor means the one which is like behind, the very behind value. Okay, the integer which is smaller than this, and the integer which is greater than this is the ceil value. That's in simple words. Okay, so the next integer which is greater than this particular float is called as ceil. Okay, it returns that value. And floor function also. Less than the float or decimal, okay. Now let me call this function on this m2, okay, because this is a positive integer, so that would be very much easy to understand. Print math dot ceil. So if I call ceil on this m2, what is the next big integer for this 23.45, which is 24. Now 24 will be printed for us whenever I call the ceil function on this m2. That's it. And similarly, if I call this floor function on this m2, it will simply return 23. That's it. Okay, 23, and we got 24 as the ceil. That's it. Now let me call the ceil or floor function on m3. See, m3 is already an integer, so that means I just wanted to like show you. So this function can take integer as also input, but even though if you pass integer, so there is no difference, because the ceil and floor are only for the purpose of dealing with the decimals and floors. That means you can always you have a use case wherein you always want to find a ceil or floor for the decimals only. There is no such a case that you will find such a case of integers, because integer itself is an integer. Okay, yeah. Now we know, see here m2 is a decimal value. What is the output of this ceil or floor function? So these are the integer data types. So from that what we can conclude? Returns integer. Okay, so this return integer. That's it. Okay, we just need to be sure about what is the return type of return data type. For FAPS, it is always a float. For ceil and floor, the input parameter, I mean the input data type that we need to pass is a float type, but wherein the return type is an integer. Okay. Yeah. Next we have this exponent function and the square root functions under this math library only. This exponent function, so we know exponent function, what is really an exponent function is. So exponent function is something e to the power of something like that. So base is always e, okay, and we just need to pass what is the exponent for this. That's it. It will perform e to the power of some value. Okay. If I want to find e to the power of 1, that means obviously e. So let us see what is the value of e. We know value of e is 2.718. That's it. Okay. Yeah, if you were to find this e to the power of something, if I want to find e to the power of 5, I can simply call such like that. Math dot exponent of e to the power of 5. That's it. Will simply perform e to the power of 5. And next function is the square root function. So this is the function in sqrt. So to which we just need to pass what for which you want to find square root. Okay. Yes, sorry. Returns the square root of a number. Now I want to find square root of 144. Now let us see how the output is printed for this. See, the output is printed in the form of a float. That means, so it can take, let me pass a float as an input. See, this square root function, okay, the input parameters, it can be of both integer and float data type, but the output is always float data type. Okay, that is the only thing we just need to remember. Input can be integer and float, okay, or float, but always returns float data type only. Okay. Yeah, these are some important functions I just want to bring to your focus. There are like many other functions, like whatever you want to like achieve in the mathematics, like we have the sine functions, trigonometry functions, algebraic functions, even the quadratic formulas. Everything is available under this math module, but that is not really useful for us. Okay. Yeah, I just gave a few of the important functions, that's it, which we can use not only not only specific to the mathematics. So this can also be used for a general purpose as well. Okay, in some of the problem statements that we can use, wherein you want to find a seal, floor, exponent, square root, and just like here, maximum value, minimum value, and power of this. And if you were to like round some float values into specific places. Okay, so these are some of the important built-in functions under the numerical literals that I just wanted to bring to your focus. Yeah. So yeah, there are many more functions. If you want to whenever there is a use case, you can simply refer to this math module. You can simply search on the math module. So you can simply check whether whatever the function that you are looking is available under this library or not. Okay. Yep. Now let me know if you have any doubt over this numerical literals. Otherwise, I'll move to the string literals. Okay. Yeah. Excuse me. Okay. Now coming to our next very important topic of strings. So Python is, I would say Python is famous in data science or in the recent scenarios because of strings only. Okay, I would say, but it is very subjective question and subjective answer. But for me, Python is very beautiful whenever I deal with strings. Okay, So yeah, whenever someone asks you, so you want to deal with strings and stuff like that, and Python is the only option, only best option I would suggest for. Okay, but in C++ or C language, starting from the C language, it is very hard to deal with the strings. And in C++, they have like improved a bit, but still it is very harder to like deal with the strings, or if you want to do some operations on the strings. And in the Java, so they have improved, but that is also not very sufficient. In Java also you need to like iterate over the string, and if you want to do some operations on the strings, you just really need to say, write some functions, okay, or user defined function. But Python, what Python people does is, whatever the whoever the people who develop this Python language, so they already know, okay, what are all the scenarios that we can do on strings, because we have came so long, starting from the C language, and we have also seen so many use cases wherein we just wanted to like transform our string or do some searching in a document, completing with all the strings, right? If a document is a group of strings, that's it. So if you want to like do some search, if you want to do replace, if you want to find a particular string, how many times it is appearing, so those and all things we already know, because we came so along. Whenever we are developing this Python language, that time people knew, so what are the things that people wanted to do on the strings, and which are not available in any other programming language. So what they did is, so they have created some inbuilt functions, which in a very optimized way, such that we can simply use them. It is only a thing that we need to remember is, we just need to know what and all the functions that are available on the strings. Until unless you don't know what and all the inbuilt functions that are there in the Python, you don't really appreciate the language itself. Okay, then it is very same for you whether it is Java or Python. Okay, and unless we practice this string functions, then only we can appreciate this language, how beautiful it is, and how this language can be very much useful in the era of strings. Okay, yeah. Now we'll start with the strings. So we already know, we already have seen what is the difference between a single quote, double quote, and a triple quote. I don't want to like reiterate the same. Now I'll go through the string formatting. Okay, how can we format a string? The very first topic is string formatting. Okay, so the first thing is string formatting. So what really is a string formatting? Let's say I want to print something like this. Okay, there is a name, there is a variable name I'm declaring, Python. Okay, and there is something, another variable called age, which is 25. Okay, now if I were to print my name is Python and my age is 25, how can I do that? So we can simply use like this. First of all, what you want to do, my name is, and just after that my name is, so just after that you just wanted to print the name. Okay, so first, what is the string? My name is a string, and just after that I have provided a comma, and then I have given a name variable, and then I'll start on my another variable, another what is the sentence? Okay, my age is, and just after that a comma, and age. So these are like comma separated strings. So if you could see that, so this is a string, because this is enclosed in between the double quotes, and this is also a string coming for as a data type, and this is also a string. So these are all the strings, and if you provide another integer, so whenever you give such a kind of thing in the print statement, it will automatically convert that into a string only. So this is all printed as a single statement. If I run this, so it will simply print my name is Python, my age is 25. Okay, so here we are achieving this string formatting. That means we wanted to print a string. We wanted to print some data in a specific format, but we have the data in bits and pieces. So today the name is Python. Today the age is 25. Maybe next in the coming days, so we may change based upon the input. Let's say these are the hard coded values. Now if I like pass this as a user input values, so the name will change, the age will change. I can't simply create this particular statement as a single string. My name is Python, my age is 25. I have to format. See, whenever there is only two variables here, name and age. That means these only can change. But else part, everything is like same. My name is and my age is. These two are same. So they are the constant values. And what is changing? The name is changing and the age is changing. So based upon these variables which are changing, I am like formatting the string. So this is one way of formatting a string, and this is a very naive approach, I would say, because until unless you are not developing something, until unless you are like doing a practice, if you are in development stage, I don't suggest to use such a kind of formatting. Okay, yeah. So this is not really a good way of doing that thing. So this is a very naive approach, so which you can simply use. Okay, whenever you are practicing some code, or if, whenever you are like solving some problems, you can simply use this. You don't try to worry about so many syntaxes, and you don't need to worry about so many braces, everything stuff. You can simply give whatever you want to print by comma separated values. Okay, yep, that's it. So this is one of the way. This is what I call it as string formatting. Okay, so in this first thing is we already know. Okay, okay, in the print function, if you provide this comma separated values, that's it. Okay, this is one way of formatting, but I don't suggest to use this in the development. Okay, no, for the development, no, don't use such a kind of things. Okay, people will feel that obviously, you know. Okay, people feel that you are not very much familiar with this programming language, when to use which kind of format. Okay, yeah, I don't suggest this to use. Yeah, now coming to the very basic string formatting, which is a very old school formatting. When I say old school formatting, that means this is a string formatting structure, so which we have still starting from the C language. From the C language itself, we are using such a kind of formatting. Okay, so here we use formatters. Okay, formatters which are like followed by percentile. So percentile is the formatter that we use here. Okay, so just after the percentile, you just need to provide some characters. So based upon the characters, okay, it will take certain kind of data only. Okay, for integers, the string formatter is percentile d. Okay, for strings, the formatter is percentile s, and for floats, the formatter is percentile dot. Okay, first I will give the basic thing, percentile f. Okay, so this is a percentile f. So whatever the string that you provide, whatever the float that you provide, it will by default take. Okay, but whenever you are like formatting a string and you want to round off whatever the float, let's say in the float value that you are giving here, it has 10 decimals. Now you don't want to like print those 10 decimals in that particular formatted string. You just want to like give only 5 decimals. At that time, what you can use is, you can use the dot operator. Dot operator means just after this percentile, you can simply use a dot. Okay, and then how many decimals, number of decimals that you want to pass. I am simply telling it as n. Okay, nf. Okay, n means number of decimals that you want to round this particular float to. That's it. So these are only a few things. Okay, in C language, so we have multiple types of data. So we have like percentile L, capital L, small l, percentile capital D, small d, like that. But in Python, we don't have such a kind that huge of data type buckets. Okay, we have simply integers, floats, and strings. That is when I am just giving percentile D, percentile S, and percentile F. That's it. Now let me take an example with this. Now, what I want to do is, there is a student. Okay, whenever you enter a student roll number, okay, so what I just wanted to print is, I just wanted to print that student's name, okay, and his age, and what is the percentage that he has achieved in plus 2. Okay, I just wanted to print that particular statement. Now, what I will do is, name is some student, whatever can I give, Xavier. Okay, this is his name. the student name, and this is his age. Okay, and his percentage is let us say 96.234567. Okay, so this is his percentage. I just wanted to print my name is Xavier, my age is 25, and my percentage is so and so. And here, whenever we calculated this percentage, so in our database we stored it with 6 decimals. I don't want to show this 6 decimal value to the user. I just wanted to show only 2 decimal. Let us see how can I do that. Print in a similar manner. So whatever you want to print, you can simply use that. Okay, first you need to completely write your statement. First of all, what is the string that I want to print? My name is. Okay, just after this I just wanted to print my name. What is the data type of the name? It is a string. So what is the format that we need to use? Percentage yes. Okay, my name is so and so. That is over. That statement is over. Full stop. And my age is, and we know age is an integer, right? And here what is the data type that what is the format that we need to pass? Percentage d. Okay, after that my percentage is, so percentage is a float value, and what I was telling, I just wanted to print only 2 decimal values. First let me show you with the basic formatter of percentage f. Okay, so this is the string that I want to print every time, irrespective of the name, age, and the percentage. This is my fixed name. Inside that I have provided few formatters. Now, so once I have this string, okay, what is the syntax for this? Immediately I need to provide this formatter percentage. Okay, just after the string, I need to provide this percentage. Okay, and after this percentage, I just need to open a braces. So inside the braces, okay, inside the braces, just like what is the order of these, all the formats that I provided, I just need to provide the variables in such a order only. So what is the first formatter here? Percentage yes. That means I just need to provide a string here. That means name. And what is the second formatter, which is percentage d? There I would give age. What is the next formatter? Percentage f. There I will give percentage. So this is how I can format my string using the old school method, which with the help of this string formatter percentage. Yes, see, here I have got printed like this. My name is Xavier, my age is so and so, my percentage is this. So if I were to round this off, I can simply use, I told you we use the dot operator, and after that we wanted to use how many decimals that you want to show, dot 2f. That's it. Okay, now it is only 96.23. That's it. Okay, but you might be wondering, so what is this worst way of doing such a kind of formatting? See, obviously whenever you are doing such a kind of stuff, what you need to do, you need to be very careful. So what is the data that you are passing, and that should always be in the same format. Now what I will see, in the place of name, first I am passing the age, and then I am passing the name. So this order is not what the order that is there in the string. So now what I'll get an error. So this forces the developer or the programmer to follow the same format which we have given inside this, and we don't know. See really what is this percentage s means, and what is this percentage d means, what is this percentage 2f means, what really they are. Okay, so there is a limitation for this. So it is giving, Python is only for making the developer's life easy, but here again it is making our life very difficult. It is forcing us to be very careful that you should always follow the same format, whatever we have given inside this fixed string whenever we are passing this list of formatters. Okay, so that is one of the limitation for this. I'm telling these limitations because how we overcome this thing in future. Okay, yeah. So there is another, instead of this percentile formatter, there is another advancement happened in between. So with the help of this format function. Okay, next way of formatting is format function. Okay, so just like here, this in the previous way, in the old school method, what we used a delimiter percentile. Okay, which tells us which kind of data that we need to pass. But in Python, though, we don't really care about the data type, right? We don't really know whether it is a string or whether it's an integer until unless we see the data. Okay. In such a ways, what people does is people has like in the old school way, they have like optimized the old school way. Why to force our users? Python is really not very specific to the data types. Why to force the users to know about the data types of their variables? So that time what they did is, so instead of this percentile s, percentile d, percentile f, every like such a kind of stuff, what they did is, so they simply used a format function with the help of curly braces. Okay, so wherever you want to insert a variable, you can simply use a curly brace over there. You don't need to really use this percentile s, percentile d, and percentile 2f. Okay, now let me like simply rewrite the same thing with the help of this format function. Print my name is, so here we don't have this percentile s. So what I told you, wherever you want to insert a variable, so there you simply use this curly braces. And my age is and my percentage is this. Okay, so I told you this is a function, so this is the string. So on this string we need to call our format function. That means just after this string we need to have a dot and then the format function. Okay, so to this format function we need to pass these variables: name, age, and the percentage. Now let me print this. Yeah, so here there is one limitation. So obviously so before printing itself we just need to take care about this rounding. Okay, yeah, but isn't it also like looking like the same thing what we did previously? So if I change this, so even though it does not throw any error now, so it does not throw any error even though if I like change this, but yeah, it really changes the statement how it looks like, right? Instead of name I gave age in the beginning, and now I have given a name. Okay, so now see, my name is 25, my age is Xavier, so this is everything is messed up here. So it also forcing the user or the developer to know about what is the format that you need to pass, what is the order of this variable that you need to pass. Okay, so there is another one more limitation. So previously we had two limitations. So we need to know percentile s, percentile d, percentile 2f. So if you like mess up with data types, then it will throw error. But in the second case, so even though if you mess up with the order, it does not throw any error. But yeah, but looking at the output, it doesn't really the string that we want to see. See, my name is 25. It doesn't even really make any sense. Whose name is 25? Whose age is Xavier? Okay, so even though you mess up, okay, there is no error, but yeah, the output affects. There is one limitation, but there are two limitations for the previous method. There is one limitation for here. So considering these two limitations, so these people what they did is, so they created a function called fstring function. Fstring function. So the syntax for this fstring function is, so whatever the string that you want to like format is, right? So here we have this string, my name is so and so, all this stuff. So that needs to be prefixed with f. Okay, just after this f you need to have your string. Okay, our string. And just like previously we had like used this empty braces, right? Now instead of this empty braces, what we need to do is, so inside the empty braces we can pass the variable name itself. Okay, previously we were passing the variable name outside, right? Now here we can pass the variable names inside. In that way we don't really need to like worry about the what is the order that we need to pass as the parameters here. So we don't need to worry about this parameter, because whenever we are writing itself, we know what is the variable that I want to insert here, we know what is the variable that I want to insert here. So here we have only three variables inserting. Let's say in a complicated way, if I want to insert like 50 or 60 strings, in that case, so keeping all the order in a similar manner is very difficult. If we mess up one of the string out of 60 strings, so everything is like uh, affect the output, everything affects the output. Okay, so to eradicate that kind of situation, what they did is, so inside this empty braces itself, we just need to pass our variable name. So at that time itself, we know what is the variable that I am passing here. Now let us see how this looks like with the f string. Print f. Okay, so this is the syntax, main syntax f of this, and my name is, and here inside this what I need to pass? I need to pass my variable name. That's it. What is the variable name that I want to pass? My name is name. Okay, and just after that, my age is age. This is the variable name, right, which is holding the age, and my percentage is, that's it. So after that, we don't need to worry about what is the order that we need to pass. So here itself we are passing this. See, my name is Xavier, my age is 25. So even though if you have like hundreds of thousands of variables that you want to format inside a single string, you can simply use this, because we create the variable names in a proper way, so in which we can simply use them. So let's say my name is this, my age is this. So whatever this paragraph or whatever the document that you want to print, and if you have like some variables, let's say, let us take one simple example. Okay, so in a institute, in a college, in a university, so after the graduation, so they just wanted to print the graduation certificates. So what everything is a constant in that certificate, except the student name, except the student branch, and his percentage. Okay, so all this can be taken from the database. Okay, and everything is constant. So all these things, they simply query from each value from the database, and we simply generate this particular document. That's it. So in that case, we can simply have our string. It can not only be a string, so it can be a document. So in the document itself, we can create a simple text file. Okay, so inside the text file, what we can use is, we can use this f string format. So once we pass these values to that text file, it will automatically create those PDFs. That's it. We don't need to like take care about that very much. It is not really a difficult task. Okay. Yeah, so this is how we achieve the string formatting. So these are the three ways we can do. So this is a very naive approach, so which people use it. So instead of this very complicated way, so this a bit of complicated way, I can be sure, because so here comma separated is very easy whenever we are like solving problems or practicing. So we don't really need to worry about what is this and all this stuff. Okay, so yeah, whenever you are like writing any solution in the interview, I would suggest go with this f string. Okay, so this is very pretty way to do that. And even in your development also, you can simply go with such a kind of logger printings into the std.out or in the console. Okay, or any of the log file. Okay, so these are the ways that we can achieve the string formatting. Okay, let me know if you have any doubts on the formatting. Otherwise, I'll jump into the operations. Okay. Yep. Now, let me move to the operations. Strings is a very important topic. That is why it will take some time, because we haven't like even into the inbuilt functions, because inbuilt functions are even more. Okay, so before that, I just wanted to finish this formatting, and now I'll do the operations. So these operations are also very important. Okay, so we can do some complicated string formatting with the help of string problems, with the help of these operations. Okay, if we know them like correctly. Yeah. So now, so the very first operation is the concatenation. Concatenation, what really a concatenation is? So it is simply combining two strings. Let's say we have two strings, my name and Python. Okay, if you want to like combine these two strings into a single string, so we can simply use addition operator. Okay, so we can use these addition operators. I told you this addition operator, whenever we are dealing with integers, it acts as an arithmetic operator, but whenever the operands are strings, it acts as a concatenation operator. Okay, so here it is a concatenation operator for us. What it really does is, so let us take with an example. Oh, I have a string. Hello. Okay. I have another string. Hello world. Hello. And another string world. Now I just wanted to print hello world. How can I do that? So I can use this concatenation operator easily on this two. S1 plus S2. Okay, it will not throw any error in Python, but if you were to do the same thing in another programming language, so that will throw error. So this concatenation is a kind of a problem itself, okay, in another programming language. So there you need to like run iterations, run a loop on the first string and parallelly add the next every character of the next string. Okay, so that is a real problem itself. That means in the interview, so if you are like giving a Java interview, so there are some questions like concatenate two strings. Okay, there are some functions available in Java as well, so they are that also in the recent versions of Java. Okay, string.concatenate, those functions are already available in Java, but in C++ and C language, if you were to do, first you need to run a loop on this. Okay, first the first string. So when you reach the end of this string, that is when you just need to start appending all the characters, each character from this string. Okay, so if you were to achieve the same thing in C++ or C language, you need to write some looping structures. So inside that looping, you just need to add this character one by one to the previous character. But here what we are doing, we are simply using the arithmetic operator. Okay, so though it looks like an arithmetic operator plus, but as I mentioned, so based upon the operands. Okay, so how we call this plus, they vary. So if the operands are numbers, integers or floats, it acts as an arithmetic operator. Okay, but if the operands are strings, that will act as a concatenation operator. That's it. Okay, so this is how we simply combine two strings. The next operation is the repetition operation. Repetition, here also we use the multiplication operator, but yeah, again, so whenever you use this asterisk on in numbers, that is a multiplication. Whenever you use this asterisk on strings, it is a repetition operator. So what is a repetition operator does? So there are few places where you want to repeat the same value for multiple times. Let's say if I were to like repeat hello for 3 times, hello, 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 hello. Okay. Now how can I do that? So instead of simply appending this two, I can achieve this appending. Okay, with the help of this concatenation. So let's say if I just wanted to like repeat the same string for 3 or 4 times, I can do the concatenation because 3 or 4 is very simple. Okay, s1 plus s2, s1 plus s1 plus s1 plus s1. But ultimately, what we are doing s1 plus s1 plus this, if you convert this very big addition into a multiplication operator, it will simply s1 into some how many times we are repeating this addition. That's it. That is simply this repetition operator. Say how many times you want to repeat this string, you can simply give it as an operand. That's it. Print. I just wanted to print s1 for 5 times. Okay, so this is how I give. The first operand is string and the second operand is a number. See, hello got printed for 5 times. In the similar manner, you can give for any number of times. Okay, based upon your use case. Yeah, these are some simple operations. This concatenation and the string for repetition. Okay, so wherein if you want to combine a same string, combine 2 or 3 strings, and wherein if you want like repeat the same string for multiple times, we can achieve them using this concatenation operator and the repetition operator. But yeah, so we just need to remember one thing whenever we are dealing with the strings. Okay, string is a sequence data type. That means it is a sequence, it is an iterable. Okay, it knows how many values are there, and it knows where to start and where to end automatically. At the same time, since it is a sequence, it has some indexing happening. Okay, so this is another topic, uh, indexing. Okay, a sequence, we know it as a sequence, an order structure, but how does Python know whether it is a sequence or not? So if I give something like Python, so it is a simple string. Okay, it has only one word, so it can simply find a simple space in the main memory. Okay, we know our memory is not always free in the continuous manner. That means we don't really get a continuous blocks of our memory. Okay, so we get our memory in bits and pieces. So somewhere, let's say, starting from the address 1000, we might get some 10 blocks free. Starting from 2000, we might get some 10 blocks free, in such a way. Okay, let's say if my string is if my string contains 1000 words, 10,000 words. Okay, it is very hard to find such a kind of memory to store all of this string in one place. Okay, so though for us it looks like a single string with 10,000 words, but in the main memory, if we were to store that kind of data at the same place, it is very hard. Okay, it is very hard to find such a kind of free space in the memory. What it does is, so since this is a sequence data type, okay, internally what it does is it uh, divides this particular very big string that we are passing. Okay, it will keep on track. So what is the let's say, let us take an example here. Python is a language. Okay, so for this, let us consider it will need 20 blocks of memory. Okay, to store this Python is a language, we need 20 blocks of memory. But yeah, so my memory is very much packed. I could not able to find 20 blocks continuously. That means starting from address x, I could not able to find x plus 20 free. Okay, but yeah, so there are 20 blocks of free memory. Okay, at like 100th place I have 2 blocks, at 200th place I have 3 blocks, like so. Okay, if I were to store this thing in bits and pieces, how can I retrieve this? Okay, so storing is very easy, right? So you can store wherever you want, but whenever you are retrieving, so that is the complex thing. Okay, so if you store this anywhere, so you can store p in some address, you can store y in some address, you can store h in some address, you can store language in some address, you can store is in some address. It is very easy. Okay, but retrieving that in a same format, let's say Python is stored at 100th place. Let me just give some hypothetical example. Okay, Python is stored from in the 100th address block, and is stored at 350 address block, and a is stored at, okay, at 23rd address block, and language is stored at 560 address block. Okay, since I could not able to find 220 blocks continuously, so Python is stored starting from the 100th block, and is stored from 350 block, and is stored from 23rd block, and language is stored from 560 block. Okay, now storing is done. Now whenever if I want to retrieve this particular string, Python is a language, I want to print this particular string. So what compiler goes to the reference memory. So reference memory, what it does is, so it will simply give the starting address. What is the starting address for this? The starting address is the Python. So Python, it knows. Okay, based upon this reference memory, it will simply print Python. But how can we retrieve all the remaining language? Okay, so at that time what happens is, this is a sequence data type. Okay, what it does is, starting from Python. Okay, so at the end of Python, so there is one block. Let's say we have at 104 is the last block. At this block, we store the address of the next value. What is the next value is? What is the address of is? 350. So the address of is stored at 104. Okay, and in a similar manner, here at 352, let's say at 352 memory block, the address of A is stored 23. And here next, on the 24th memory block, so it will store the address of 560. So here there is a continuation, right? So in the reference memory, so it just gave 100. Okay, now it go to the 100th memory block in the memory. So it started printing from P, Y, T, H, O, N. Now it got printed. So next, in the next block, what it encountered? It encountered an address value 350. Now from 104 address block to, it simply jumps to the 350 address block. So at the 350 address block, we have I printed, 351 S printed, and 352, what do we have? 23. So now it will go to 23rd block. At 23rd block, what we have? A. Now 24th block, we have 560. It go to the 560, and it will print LANGUAGE at the last index. So Python should know, right? So this is the last till where we just need to print. So that is where, let's say 570 is the last block where we are storing E. Okay, and in the 571th block, we store some delimiter, let's say /0. Okay, /0 we store. Whenever Python compiler encounters such a kind of data in the memory, that means okay, I just need to stop here. Okay, it just stopped there and it just printed Python is a language. So that is how a sequence is stored inside the memory, because it is very hard to find such a kind of continuous memory in the memory in our main memory blocks. Okay, so that is where the sequencing helps us. Now, so if you were to like retrieve this, so how can I be retrieve? So I just wanted to retrieve at h. Okay, so with the help of only 100, I can go one by one. But if I want to like retrieve in between, I want to retrieve from h to a. How can I do that? So that can be achieved with the help of this indexing. Okay, so internally Python knows how to do that, but externally, if it has to like represent the same thing for us, how can we do that? So it provided us a indexing topic. Indexing means, so it will give some address values for us. Okay, though they are not the real addresses, so it will give some dummy address for us. So dummy address in the sense it is a sequence of numbers starting from 0 to till the length of this particular string. Okay, now so this indexing starts with 0, as I have mentioned, 0 till the length of the string -1. Okay, now let us see how the indexing will happen. Okay, my string is p y. Okay, in my string p y t h o n, I have this string p y t h o n. Forget about the spaces, I just gave the spaces for the index values to be shown. Okay, this is my string. So if I were to like retrieve all this, so I don't know the real address of this, but Python creates dummy addresses, and we call the dummy address as indexes. So in Python, the indexing starts from 0. So this is the first, right? So it is at the 0th index. And now first index, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, starting from 0 to 5. So these are the dummy addresses which we call indexes. So this is very easy for us to remember instead of like going to the real memory names. Okay, that is how indexing works. So indexing in Python starts from 0. Not only in Python, so in any other programming language, so it always starts from 0. Okay, yeah. So with the help of these indexes, we can like retrieve whatever we want to. Okay, if I simply want what is at the 0th index, I can simply say p. What is at the 4th index, n. What is at the 3rd index, h. Like that. Okay, that is what the indexes is. So based upon the indexes, how can you get a particular character or a substring of the characters? That we call it as a slicing operation. Okay, so for this we use the indexes, and the slicing operator is this. Okay, two rectangular braces. Now let us see. So here I have hello. I just wanted to print what is that. See, the syntax is, first you need to call your string s1, and just after that you just need to call the slicing operator, which is two rectangular braces, and to which you need to pass the index that we want to retrieve. I just want to retrieve 4. What is at the 4th index? At 4th index we have O. Now in the similar way, what is at the 5th index? I have a comma. What is at the 6th index? I have a space. Okay, so that is why space got printed here. So if you could see, there is a space here. Now, what is at the 7th index? Error, because index error. Because this S1 has only indexes from 0 to 7, 0 to 6. At the 7th index, we don't have anything. That is why we got index error, which is saying string index out of range. That means whatever the index that we have provided, it is out of range of this particular string. Okay, yeah. That is how we can retrieve simple characters from a string. That's it. Now, there is another variation for the slicing operator. That we call it as a range slicing. Okay, so range slicing, I need to go a bit deeper here. Okay, so range slicing, we use the slice operator only. Okay, which is this. But yeah, there is a separate syntax for this. Okay, so to this range operator, the slicing operator, it takes three values. Okay, out of which two are mandatory, one is like optional. Okay, first we'll see what is that. Start, stop. Start is followed by a colon. We can use a space so that it will. Okay, start, colon, stop, colon, and the step. Okay, you can pass all these three values to a slicing operator, so which will result in is a range slicing. But here, whenever you are achieving this simple slicing, that means whenever you want to retrieve only character, particular index, so that time you can simply pass one value here. Okay, whenever you are going for the range slicing, you just need to consider about all these options: start, stop, and the step. I told you there is one option, which is step is an optional here. Step is an optional value. Start, stop. And yesterday I told you in the range function itself, start is always inclusive, stop is always exclusive. Okay, yeah. So now what it does, so start, stop, these two are index values. Okay, so from which index you want to start until which index you want to print, you want to slicing. It really takes the real meaning of the English word slicing. You are really slicing the string, starting from this index to that index. Okay, yeah. So that is the start index and the stop index. Stop index is the exclusive value. That means if you provide 7 as a stop, it will print till 6. Okay, stop is always exclusive. And the step, it is not a mandatory. So if you don't provide it, so the default value is 1. That means it will simply hop one by one from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 till the stop. If you provide step as some value, let's say if you provide step as 2, so it will start from 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8 till stop. That's it. Okay, so that is how we slice this thing. Let us see how can you achieve this. Now here I want to slice this. I want to print hell. Okay, so hell, h is starting from the 0th index, so 0, 1, 2, 3. I want to print from 0 to 3rd index. That is 0 is my start index. I want to print till 3rd index. That means I need to give stop as one value more, because the stop is an exclusive value. Okay, now if I run this, it will simply slice my hello word into hell. That is what is till 0 to 3 index. So at the 0th index we have h, 1 we have e, 2 we have l, 3 we have f again, and 4 we don't cancel because that is an exclusive value. Okay, that is how we can do. Now let me provide a step as well. I'm giving a step as 2, and I will pass 6 as the stop index. Now let us see what will be printed. HLO. First let us see how it is printed. So what is the start? There I'm starting from H. Okay, from there I just need to go till 6th index, or 6th index in the sense 5th index. Okay, what is step 2? I need to make hops of 2 2. Okay, from H I'm making a hop to L, first L. Okay, and that L to another hop to O. Okay, so till there I have reached out to the stop. That is when only the HLO got printed. If you could see, there is only HLO. That's it. Okay, so this is what the range slicing is. And there is one more topic in the Python itself. So I told you this indexing is not very really a new topic to the Python. But yeah, what really a new topic in the Python is the negative indexing. Okay, so in any other programming language, so if you consider indexing, that means it always start from 0 to in the positive way. What is the negative indexing means? Negative indexing in if you want to access this particular string in a reverse manner, that means from n, o, h, t, y, p. That also we can do with the help of the negative indexes. The negative index starts from -1. Let me go from here. So n is at the negative indexes start from -1, not from 0, because already we have positive index starting from 0, and we don't want to use 0, because if you use the 0 also for the negative indexing, it will be a bit confusing for the Python compiler. So that is where we start from the -1. Okay, and this is -2. okay, and h is at -3, and t is at -4, and y is at -5, and p is at -6. Okay, so these are the indexes, negative indexes. These also we can access. So we can like pass what is the start index and stop index in the similar way. So let me see with an example. S1 of let me give -6. We have seen, right? -6. -6 is E here. See, starting from -1 is a space, -2 comma, -3 O, -4 L, -5 also L, -6 is H. Okay, so that is why E is printed. I just want to like give one thing here. Okay, if I say -1, -4, okay, what do you think the output will be here? Nothing, because step is always in a forward direction. Step cannot be in a negative way. Okay, we can like the default step I told you, it is a +1. So from -1, if you go towards the plus, there is nothing. That is why we got some empty string got printed here. There is an empty value. Okay, so if you provide some negative step here, see, I provided negative step here, so that is where I got space, comma, and go got printed. Let me give another index so that it will be like clear. See, it got printed from starting from -1 to -5, because -6 is an exclusive value here also. So this is how we can achieve the negative indexing. Okay, now there is one use case of this thing, so which is very brilliant use case. So you might have heard about a problem, okay, in like whenever you are studying with C language or anything. So palindrome problem. Okay, so palindrome, they will give a string as an input. It is asked to like check whether that particular string is a palindrome or not. That means whether the string, if you read from the start to end and end to start, that would be same or not. So that if you want to achieve the same thing in another programming language, you need to run a loop definitely. So you need to run a loop and build another string. Okay, so starting from the end to beginning. But here we can simply achieve that with the help of this negative indexing. Okay, since there is a negative indexing in Python, because of which, so it is very brilliant and we can achieve such a kind of scenarios very easily. So here you can simply print the string in the negative way, I mean in the reverse manner. Now let me take a string. Okay, so here I am giving Python. Okay, now if I were to print entire string in the reverse way, so I can do like this, print. Okay, so a string start, stop, and this thing. So start, I'll give -1, okay, and -7. This is the end, and the step is -1. See, our entire string got reversed. But yeah, is it really necessary to give the start and stop? Because we are like reversing the entire string. Whenever you are reversing a bits and pieces of the string, so that does make sense. Okay, that really makes sense, like giving a start and stop. But you are like entirely reversing the string. Okay, does it really make a sense that to pass a start and stop? Is it really necessary to pass this values every time? No. Python is making that kind of scenarios also very much easy to the users. Okay, so whatever is the default value, you don't need to really pass. So if you don't pass this, if you don't really want to pass these values, so you can simply ignore them. But these colons are really important. Okay, you need to keep these colons, but you can simply skip passing values for the start, stop. But yeah, for the step you need to pass as -1. So then only it will tell Python that you just need to print this particular string in a reverse way. Okay, so this also print the same thing which we got printed previously. See, Python. Now we can simply check. Okay, if is s3 equal to is the reverse string or not? See, false, because Python is not a palindrome. Let me give a palindrome here. Okay, I have given a word Malayalam, so which is a palindrome. Now let us see what will be printed here. True. See, it is that simple to check whether a string is a palindrome or not. Okay, and sometimes people will ask questions not only with the strings. Okay, so I have like faced such a kind of problem statements as well. So they will give some integer, so which can be like any number of digits. So it can be 10 digits, it can be 12 digits, it can be any number of digits. So they will ask us to check so whether that number is a palindrome or not. So here the question is not about the strings now. Here the question is about the integers. You just need to check whether that integer is a palindrome or not. But in order to check that in any other programming language, it is difficult. But here we have a typecasting. First, you can simply typecast that integer into a string, and you can simply apply this equation on that. Is that particular string equal to the reversed string or not? Okay. Yeah. So just remember this syntax. It can be like very much useful in any of the questions. So whenever you want like reverse your string, or whenever such kind of like question whether it is a palindrome or not, in that way. Okay. Yeah, so this is one of the use case, and since because Python enables this negative indexing, so it is also easy to do some things in a reverse manner. Okay, we'll see whenever we go to the inbuilt function. So how this negative indexing will help in some of real cases. So let's say there is a document. Okay, let's say there is a document. So if you were to check this document is daily updating the same document. Some people or some machine is daily updating with logs. Okay, if you were to check if there is any recent error, that means you just need to read that particular document from the end, not from the beginning, right? So if you were to start from the beginning, let's say this document is active since 1 year. So every time you read this document, so it will start from last year, last year. So it will always print the last year string only, the very first error that we have encountered. So if you were to do that, so you just need to like read the entire document starting from the beginning to the end, and you need to sort them in a different manner and pick the latest one from there. But yeah, since in Python it enables the negative indexing, we can read the document in a reverse manner. You can go from back. Okay, and you can simply check whether there is an error or not. You can simply use this negative slicing, negative range slicing. Okay, you can simply slice this value, and you can simply reverse that value and check that. Okay, whether there is an error in the logs or not. Okay, yeah, so that is one of the use case for such a kind of things. Okay, now we have seen this slicing, range slicing, and the negative range slicing as well. And next topic would be membership operators. I told you string is a sequence. Obviously, membership operator is can be applied on the strings as well. Okay. Membership operator. What are the membership operators? We have in, not in. Okay. Yeah. So this will this membership operator will check simply whether whatever you are searching for is already available in that particular document or in that string or not. Okay. Now let me declare one variable. Okay, s4. So in that I am Python is an easy language. Okay, now I wanted to see whether the Python word is there inside the string or not. Okay, how can I do that? So what is my search string? My search string is Python. I want to search Python, whether this Python word is available in that particular. Let us say s4 is a document. Here we have only one statement. Let us say it can like take multiple strings or multiple statements. Okay, let us say s4 is a document, and you want to check whether Python the word Python is there or not. You just need to only worry about whether it is there or not. Currently we don't need to worry about how many times it is appearing. We'll see that. We'll also know how many times it is appearing in that particular document in the inbuilt functions. Now if you want to check this whether this is in that or not, so obviously whenever I am speaking I am using the membership operator in. That way we can simply use that membership operator here as well. Print search string in S4. That's it. Okay. If the search string is in the S4, then it will result true, because we know membership operators will return true or false Boolean values. Since whatever we are searching, that means this Python, it is already there in the S4, that is why true got printed for us. But let me change the case of this capital P to small p. That means previously it was uppercase, now I change it to lowercase. And we also need to remember one more thing: Python is very case sensitive. Okay, so it can only match uppercase to uppercase and lowercase to lowercase. It cannot like go. It cannot be clubbed with uppercase to lowercase and lowercase to uppercase. Okay, now so here this Python is very much different to this Python. Okay, now this Python is not there in this mainstream. That is when I like run this, it will simply print false for me, because whatever I am looking is the Python, it has a lowercase p, but inside this string I have a Python which is an uppercase p. Okay, yeah, this is quite a thing which we need to remember. So whenever we are dealing with the Python with strings in Python, we just need to worry about whether we are really checking the case or not. If you really don't care about the cases, so you can simply convert these two strings into same case and search this operation. And if you really care about the cases, that means you really want to know whether a Python word with a capital P is available or not. At that time, you don't need to worry about like bringing these two strings in the same platform. When I say same platform, same cases. Okay. Yeah. So that is how we can use this membership operator. Now, if I apply not in, so this will return true. Okay, because this Python with lowercase p is not available in this S4. That is why true got printed. Okay, that is how we can use this membership operator on this. And membership operator is not only limited to the strings. We can also see for the characters as well. Now let us say I'll go for a character here instead of Python. Now let us see for Z. Okay. Let us see if the character Z is available in this particular S4 or not. It is not there, so that is why false got printed. Okay. Now let us, if I change it to E, see E is there, because in easy it is there and in language it is there. So it doesn't really care about how many times it is appearing. It really cares about whether it is appearing for at least one time or not. Okay. Yeah, this membership operator, it will simply check whether it is there or not. That's it. And the next thing is the escape characters. Escape characters. What are these escape characters? So there are special characters we know, like at the rate, ampersand, dollar symbol, hash, percentile, caret, everything. Everything is a special character. What really are these escape characters? So these escape characters are some characters. So if we were to do some specific operation, okay, if we were to like achieve a certain thing from our keyboard. So on our keyboard we have everything. Let us say if you want to achieve enter, okay, in the program itself. If you want to achieve a tab space, if you want to achieve a backspace, how can we do that? Okay, so that can be achieved with the help of this escape characters. So escape characters, the very first thing is new line. That means which is very similar to enter in our keyboard. So if you were to achieve a new line in the string itself, you will use a backward slash, okay, with followed by n. Okay, that's it. A backward slash followed by n. This escape characters all starts with a backward slash. Okay, yeah. And the second one is, so these are some important escape characters that I am giving: new line, backspace, and tab space. There are like many more. Okay, which these days we don't really use them. Tab, which is very much similar to the tab in our keyboard. Okay, that can be achieved with the help of backslash followed by T. The third one is a backspace, which is obviously a backspace. Okay, backward slash and P. Okay, now let us see how they are really. If you remember correctly, so whenever I was telling about the triple quotes, I mentioned, so if we have a multi-line string, so that can be only achieved with the help of the triple quotes. But you can also like combine all this multi-line thing in a single string. But in that case, we'll use this escape characters. So that will escape this particular condition. Now let me create one string. Okay. Yes, fine. Okay, so this is multi-line string for me. So this I have achieved with the help of this a triple quotes. Now let me print this. It got printed in a multi-line. Okay. Now, so if I were to achieve the same thing with the help of single quotes, let me see how can I achieve that. I'll combine these two. Okay. Now let me remove all these triple quotes. Now, I wanted a new line from here. So what I will do is I'll do a slash n. Okay. Now what it will do is whenever Python compiler encounters such a kind of characters, so it will simply does is it has mapping inside it. So whenever it encounters slash n, so it will think about, okay, the user is asking for a new line. So then it will click on enter. It will print all this thing in a new line. Now let us see how this S5 will be printed. See, Python is an easy language. It is a neutral. So if I don't give this, so it will all be in a single line only. Okay, see, now everything is in a single line. Now if I want to have a new line coming here, I can simply use this slash n, which is a backward slash, not a forward slash. Okay, so this is how I can achieve a new line. Now let us say I want to have a tab space here. Because slash team. Okay, I'm telling because slash team. Okay, after this I just want to give some extra space and print something. Okay, now what I will do, because it is because it is simple. Let us see how this will be printed. See, Python is an easy language, so just after printing this, so Python compiler encountered a slash n. So that is when it just gave a new line here, and now we have printed it is the recent trend because just after this, because I have a space, right? I already have a space. Okay, and before it also have a space. And what are all these remaining spaces? These remaining spaces are coming from the tab. Okay, so whatever the tab will provide, so this tab space will specifically, I cannot simply tell how many spaces this tab will give, because that is dependent upon the machine that we are working on. Okay, on few machines it will give us a 3 spaces, on few machines it will be like 5 spaces, on few machines it will be 7 spaces. Okay, it will be mostly odd number of spaces only. Okay, before you were like before you were giving this tab space, you just need to first check what is the machine that you are doing and how many spaces that it will provide. Then only you can simply use this tab space. Okay, but yeah, this is not very much constant everywhere, I would say. So this will vary based upon the machine that you are working and the compiler that you are dealing with. And yeah, so this thing I have printed. Okay, now what I want to do is, so currently, so in my generation, okay, let's say in 2023, this is what I know about Python. Okay, so this is what I know about Python. I just wanted to give something to stop here. Okay, so this whenever it encountered a character, so it will tell to the new coming people on maybe in 2024 or 2025, they will see in 2023. So this is what it is. That is where they have like put some character here. Okay, now I don't want to like print this particular character. It's a character. This is only for the purpose of the people, upcoming people who are like working on this application. So I just gave this as here, but I don't want to print this. How can I achieve that? So whenever you give such a kind of things which you don't want to print, but you want them in your string for just reading purposes, you can simply use a backspace here. Okay. See, previously it got printed this caret symbol. Now if you could see, this cat will not be printed because whenever it prints the caret symbol, okay, this is very fast. That is why our eyes cannot catch this. So it just printed a caret here, but just after that you can encounter a backspace. That is when it simply fastly give one backspace. So we have given only one backspace here. Okay, so that is why only one caret, one character, which is a caret, got backspaced. Now if I give another backspace, let us see how this behaves. See, now even the space got removed. Okay, yeah. Yes, might be wondering, might be this will be used. So that is why I have like explained a use case. So wherein you want to give something in a string, but you don't want that to be printed. So at that time you can simply use this backspace. Okay, so that is it with this. Okay, these escape characters, so we know. But yeah, so let me tell you one more thing. I have this S6. I'm telling one more drawback. This is because this is drawback of the escape characters. So wherein if you really want this backspace, and this backspace is followed by one of the mapped values like N, T or B, what will happen? Let's say if I were to print something like this. What if I just wanted to print like this? My name is Python slash new language. Okay, I just wanted to print all this character with the help of this slash. Okay, now if I print this, let us see how it prints this value. See, my name is Python is printed in one line, but as soon as it encountered slash n, which is a backward slash, so it took us to a new line, and n is not printed. This is not what I wanted. So I wanted it to be printed as slash new language. But yeah, so since this is a prefixed value, predefined value, so Python compiler, whenever it encounters such a kind of characters, it automatically does the same operation that it does. Okay, so we need to explicitly tell Python just ignore what and all the escape characters that are coming here. So how can we do that? So that can be achieved with the help of the raster. Okay, rastering is this rastering. So whenever you need such a kind of we have such a kind of scenarios where you might use this backslashes, and there is a possibility that backslash is followed by one of the predefined character. Okay, predefined alphabet or predefined character. In such a way, you just need to like you just don't need to do that kind of operation. So at that time, we can simply use our rastering. So syntax for this rastering is just like f string. The string is like prefixed with f. So here we will prefix our string with smaller or capital R. Okay, you can prefix with either of them. Now let me do with smaller first. Okay, so whenever Python encounters such a kind of string like the string which is prefixed with R, it will automatically uh, uh, neglect all the rules that are there for this escape characters. If I run this, see, now it printed my name is Python with slash new language. So it simply ignores this escape characters because we are telling Python whatever the string that I am giving, that is a raw string. You just need to do all the operations considering this as a raw string. Don't do any other extra mappings or any other extra operations until unless I tell you. Okay, we are restricting the Python compiler to do what we see. Okay, in previous way, in this string, we are not restricting that. Okay, we are leaving the decision to the Python. So whatever that I have given inside the string, just do whatever you want to do. Okay. Here we are explicitly controlling the Python compiler. So this is a raw string. I don't want you to run any of your conditions on my string. I just want my string as it is what I have given. Okay. That is why we have got slash n printed. Okay. Previously it was not printed. It was taken as an escape pattern. So when that is when we got the new line. Okay. Yeah. So these are the operations, most of the operations that we can do on strings. And yeah, so there are like many other inbuilt functions that we can see on strings. Okay. I think we have to cover them in the next session. Okay. So whatever we have seen so far, try to practice them. Just be very sure whenever we are like going for the string functions. Okay, whenever we are dealing with the string inbuilt functions. Okay, at that time we might use this slicing operator, range slicing, etc., etc. Okay, so at that time I don't want you to like see this as an alien string that I have like giving alien operation or anything. Okay, be sure with all these operations. So these are operations we'll use in the inbuilt functions rigorously. Okay, and I also shared some few of the problems related to this string operations and inbuilt functions with mathematics. Okay. Yeah. So let me know if you have any doubts in the today's session. Are we good to wrap the class?
Yeah, okay. Yes,
Okay, okay, Anil, thank you. Okay,
thank you.
please let me know if you find any difficulty in understanding any of this. Like if you're like practicing, if you feel something is like missing, or something can be added, or if you're not able to understand any other thing, yeah, please let me know. You can ping me. I can like respond.
Yeah, sure, sure. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
okay, thank you. Thank you, guys.